Hi there, folks. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about your nutrition for the challenge, and how we're going to be working it over the course of your program. So, the way we're going to go about this is instead of doing a traditional calorie counting model in which you're tracking calories, because this can be um, quite tedious for some people, we have instead developed a program which is a lot more applicable to everyday life. So what we have done, right, is I've sent you this document in your apps. If you go to your coaching section, you'll find your nutrition guide, and the PDF section will contain this nutrition guide here. All right. So we have devved this for you so that you can pull it up whenever you like. You can print it out if you're by your computer, and is a really handy document for you to build healthy, sustainable meal plans on the fly. Now you can do this anywhere. So you'll be able, using this PDF and the techniques learned in this PDF, you'll be able to look at a plate. Say if you were out for dinner, you'll be able to look at your plate and know roughly whether it is going to be, a bad meal or a good meal, in air quotes, in relation to your program. So you'll know basically if you're eating too much of certain food groups. You'll know approximately that there's going to be too much calories in your plate just to look at it. And being able to do that with your eye is really, really valuable when it comes to sustaining a body weight which is healthy and which you're happy with. All right, so let's get into the document. So look, this is our first page here is our food groups. Now we've color coded this so that we've got protein in reds, carbohydrates in yellows, healthy fats in blues. We haven't included vegetables. We've got a wee bit here about it, but basically any vegetable outside of potatoes, you can be as liberal as you want and just pack your plate up with it. The more, the better. All right, and that's why we haven't included it on this color coded thing, because you can just basically eat as much of them as you want, again, outside of potatoes. So look, we've included here all different kinds of food types, so that if you're stuck for what kind of, if you know that you probably need some more protein and you're not sure what protein you have, you can come back to this chart and look at this list of foods and add them on. So you've got your reds here, all different kinds of protein. Your yellows is all different kinds of carbohydrates, and your blues is all different kinds of healthy fats. All right. So just a wee quick bit that's about herbs, spices, and sauces. We want you to make your food as interesting as you possibly can without derailing what you're trying to do. So we encourage you to use as many herbs, spices, and low-calorie sauces as you want. Things like curry, which is a dieter's best friend. Get them on your foods. Make your diet interesting. Make sure it's something that you enjoy eating. Otherwise, you will not stick to it. If you aren't enjoying what you're eating, you are guaranteed to fall off the diet train. So I'll let you have a read through this. I'm not going to read it to you in the video. You can go and have a read through it. And this is just about basically this model as opposed to calorie counting. So how are you going to build a portion controlled meal plan then? Well, here is the simple and effective way that we've set up for you to build healthy meals. So whenever you're setting up your plate, basically you're going to look at your portions which you're putting on the plate. Now, for a healthy portion, you're going to use your hand as a guide to discover whether the meal that you're about to have is too much, too little, or just right. So, roughly, A good, well-balanced meal contains one of each of these portions. So for protein, you want a palm-sized portion of protein. If you imagine a chicken fillet, the chicken fillet should be about the size of your palm on your plate. So if you're looking at your plate and your protein portion is about the size of your palm, you know that's one portion of protein, and that's perfect. With vegetables, again, it's a fist. So a fist-sized portion of vegetables is the perfect portion size. With carbohydrates, it's a cupped hand. So if you imagine your rice sitting on your cupped hand, that is about your right portion size for carbohydrates. Same applies to potatoes and pastas and stuff like that. And then for fats, it's about a thumb size portion. So if you imagine about a peanut butter, which would be a healthy fat meal, your portion should be about the size of your thumb. All right. So obviously this is very generalized. How does it suit an individual? And so this obviously isn't going to work for everyone. So how do you make it work for you as an individual? Well, this is how we do it. So if we start off on the basic of one of each portion, and we go from there. So once you've had your meal and you've had one portion of each, as it said on the hand guide, then you're going to assess how you're feeling in terms of hunger in relation to time after you've eaten your meal. So 0 hours after your meeting, this is how you should feel if you've gotten the portion sizes right. All right. So you've put on one portion of each, and this is going to be your experiment. All right. So you should probably, so after 0 hours, you're probably still a little hungry, and that's because it takes 20 minutes for your body to register the food. So what you should do if you're still hungry is wait 20 minutes. If you're not satisfied, then you know that the portion size was probably a wee bit too small. And what you can do is, if you look over here, if you're still hungry, you're going to just increase your protein portion by about a thumb size. So next time you have a meal, you're going to increase protein by about a thumb size, and if that does the trick, then you know that you've gotten the portions correct. If you're full, there's obviously always the chance of eating too much. Try to slow down when you're eating. All right, so if you're feeling really, really full, you've probably eaten too much. Slow down a wee bit, and your body will catch up with the amount of food that you're putting on. After an hour, you should still feel satisfied with no desire to eat another meal. If you're still feeling hungry after an hour, then, as we said, increase protein intake by a thumb-sized portion. After 2 hours, you may start to feel a little hungry, like you could eat, but the feeling isn't overwhelming. So that's how you should feel after 2 hours since your last meal. If you still feel full, then there is a good chance that you have eaten too much. So if that's the case, then next time around, you're going to reduce your carb intake by a thumb-sized portion and reduce your fat intake by a thumb-sized portion. All right. If you're starving after 2 hours, then increase your carb intake by a thumb and increase your fat intake by a thumb. So after 2 hours, if you find yourself starving, then you need to increase carbs and fats. All right. After 3 hours, you should feel like you're ready now for your next meal. And as we said here, hunger should be about a 7 out of 10. 10 being starving. If you're still full, you've definitely eaten too much. Try reducing your carb intake by half a thumb-sized portion and your fat intake by half a thumb-sized portion. After 4 hours, you're so hungry. How you should feel is you're so hungry you could eat anything. Aim to have eaten before you reach this point. If you're still full, you've definitely eaten too much. Try reducing your carb intake by a thumb and a half size portion. Challenge nutrition guide. So look, this is how on this page, the last page of the document, this is how your meals should roughly look each day. So if you have 4 meals per day, here's how each one should look. So if you imagine meal one's breakfast, we have on here no carbs for breakfast. All right, there's a reason for that we don't need to go on that. You don't necessarily have to have no carbs for breakfast. People who have no carbs for breakfast tend to do better when it comes to weight loss. They tend to not be as hungry, they tend to get less cravings, and their energy levels tend to be more stable. Now, that is on average. All right, some people need carbs for breakfast. If you're one of those people and you do not want to cut out carbs for breakfast, you don't have to. All right, this is just a recommendation. It's not a command. You don't have to cut out carbs for breakfast. But if you feel like you can and you're not missing, you feel like you're not missing anything by cutting out carbs, you're happy enough to cut them out, then definitely do it. You will probably notice a nice benefit to energy levels, mood, and it will also elicit a nice weight loss response. So each meal should look like this. So your breakfast meal, assuming that you're going to cut out carbs, will have 1 to 2 palm-sized portions of protein, fats, and veg. 1 to 2 portions of protein, fats, and veg. All right, your extra fats in breakfast, by the way. So what we've cut out in carbs, we've added on a wee bit extra in fats to make up for it. And then outside of that, each meal after that should be 1 to 2 portions of each food group per meal. All right, so that is roughly how a balanced meal plan looks. And if your diet looks roughly like this table, then we are laughing. All right. If you were to eat a meal plan that looked like that, you would have a very, very sustainable weight loss meal plan. It would really be sustainable for any kind of goal that you had. So this is just a wee bit then about how to prep for any good plan. All right, so the things that you might want to do for any good plan. So I'm going to just start from the bottom up here. So a nice tip is they make things that you can batch cook. So things like salsa, stews, rice, curry, noodles, things that you can cook up and that it's going to do you for a couple of days. It's really handy to do that. Even if you're doing a dinner say you're cooking dinner on a Monday night and it's a dinner that you could cook extra of and have it for the next couple of days. It doesn't even have to be another dinner meal. You could use last night's dinner as today's lunch, or lunch for a couple of days. So buy meat in bulk, but make regular trips for vegetables. So you can buy your meat in bulk and freeze some of it. Vegetables tends to be better just going and buying every 2 days or so, just to keep it fresh. There's nothing wrong with frozen veg if you want to buy frozen veg. But in general, intend to buy loads of meat, stock up on your meat, and buy vegetables fresh. You don't want to have to, if you're having a quick lunch, a quick salad or something, you don't want to have to defrost a rack of vegetables. You want to be able to just grab it straight out of the fridge. Buy some Tupperware and at least enough to last 3 days, and that'll help you with prepping your meals. You want to be able to take some meals. Again, if you're taking meals, you're going to want to have a cool bag. So you want to have a bag that's going to keep meals nice and cool and fresh for you, especially if you're eating stuff like yogurts for lunch or, again, salads. Clearing out your cup. See, one of the most effective things they do when it comes to dieting is to create effort barriers. And what an effort barrier is you surround the things that you know aren't good for you. So it might be, biscuits. So you surround it with an effort barrier. So an effort barrier could be you don't keep them in the house, which means if you're going to have biscuits, you've got to leave the house, go and buy them in the shop, and that extra effort is normally enough to make you not succumb to the craving. So clear out the cupboards of anything that's going to be bad for your program. Plan to take a break. All right, so 90%, 80 to 90% adherence to the plan is what we're after, guys. We've got to love to. So plan on a break and don't feel guilty about having it. All right, so plan a break 10% of the time. Keep your diet varied. So you want to be low processed food. You want to be high single ingredient, free range products, and make it varied. So eat a wide variety of different foods to ensure that you're getting loads of different nutrients and that your diet is complete. Plan ahead, prepare food in advance. We've already kind of talked about prepping food is a big thing. Eat mostly whole and minimally processed foods, which we just mentioned. Try to cut the processed food out. If you're currently having 30% processed and 70% whole, then try to make that 80% whole, 20% processed, or 90% whole, 10% processed. As little processed food as possible. Drink lower calorie beverages. So if you're somebody who likes to have Coke or a Fanta or a Sprite or something like that, go with the 0 calorie options. They're going to be far better for you, and they won't affect your plan whatsoever. Most of the reports about them being cancer causing and them having really adverse health effects are bullshit. You have to drink an inordinate amount of it for it to become a problem. There's nothing wrong with having a couple of diet drinks every single day. It'll do absolutely nothing in terms of bad health effects. But what it will do is it'll stop you from having the higher calorie alternatives, and it'll probably help with weight loss. Prep your food when you get home from your shop. So once you've done your shop, you probably have meal ideas in your head. Just start prepping straight away is a good tip that a lot of people use. Making a shopping list before you go and do your shop helps so that you're not picking up things impulsively. Make a list and only buy what you've got on the list. And again, plan your meals out. Know what you're eating every day. It helps for you to have a plan there to stick to. It means that you know what you're doing, and it means you know if you've went off your own plan that something is awry and you need to come back on course. All right, so that's everything for the program. Hopefully that helps. Get stuck on. Buzzing to have you all on board. I'm really excited to see what kind of results you bring to the table. And I'll see you in the gym. Any questions that you have, you can ask me there. Best of luck with everything, and I'll chat to you again soon. All right, take care.